By focusing only on meat and grocery, we can do those things to the best of our abilities.
No frills, no gimmicks. You're gonna get top quality meat, top quality produce, top quality customer service.
They always tell us, sell it as low as you can. Sell it as low as you possibly can.
And we work hard so we can keep those prices lower.
And that's what Fareway does to a lot of people. They take care of people.
I have one thing to accomplish, and it's that.
This is AEW.
Des Moines, Iowa. On Wednesday, June 12th, All Elite Wrestling presents Dynamite. Get the feeling as the best professional wrestlers in the world bring wrestling's hottest show to Wells Fargo Arena.
AEW is where the best wrestle.
AEW Dynamite and Rampage. Wednesday, June 12th from Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines. Tickets on sale now at AEWTIX.com.
Two guys, two Chris's, one network. Iowa Everywhere. It's time for Two Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
Good morning. Welcome to Two Guys. It is the 10th of June, 2024. We are presented, as always, by Fareway Meat and Grocery in the Channel Seed Studios. And I made some Iowa chops last night from our friends at Fareway. Chops for the whole fam. It's delicious. Great night of some good old-fashioned Iowa pork here in the Williams house. How are you? What'd you do all weekend, Hassel?
I see you're still using your shitty-ass headphones and mic built in.
Listen, I got up yesterday, and I worked in my basement from 7 a.m. till about 8 o'clock at night. Almost nonstop.
What's the update on this flooding situation?
We're getting better. We're making progress. I am damned and determined to be back in my office in the next couple weeks.
Jesus, it's going to be that long?
Hopefully next week. I'm just, being conservative here. Lower your standards, up your average.
I'm really tired of watching you hold your cord headphones out so that the mic doesn't hit your beard.
But I have that other microphone, but that cord broke, and the cords are like, I couldn't get another cord. It's like on back order or something. Like I'd have to buy a whole other microphone.
You need to borrow my cord. I can lend you my cord.
Sure.
I'll be the whole one holding the mic out.
I mean, you're an important part of the show.
I'll bring you one over.
So yeah,
that's what a good producer
I will be back. I'm hoping next Monday I'll be back in the office. That is the goal. But shit happens in life, right? Like shit happens.
Sure.
Maybe I'm not going to get there.
Look, I'm dealing with stuff here too because we've got.
You had snakes in your pool?
I did have a snake in my pool. What did you think of that? Because I sent Williams a video.
Blew my mind.
Of this snake that got into my pool on Thursday night, and I fished it out with the little skimmer basket thing, and then I just put it out just right next to the pool, and I sent it to a bunch of people. People couldn't believe that I didn't put it over my neighbor's fence. But come on.
Yeah, is that the neighbor that didn't want you to get the good internet?
It is.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
But it's just a tiny little snake. It's harmless.
Kind of a neighbor. The only neighbor that would not allow you to get the good internet is the same type that would call animal control on you.
God.
I got an update on the foxes coming up later in the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw some tweets last night.
Big fox update. Man, it's going to be crazy out there because we've got our big summer festival in Bondurant this week, today and tomorrow, and I'm wondering if any of those rabies-infested fox eye going to bite any kids.
Fox eye? Is that the plural for fox?
I have no idea, but I made that.
I had a big change of heart on the foxes. So.
Oh, okay. Well,
stay tuned.
Deep tease right there for the program.
Maybe that'll be your triple B. The foxes will be Van Hwink's triple B. I've had a different kind of weekend, man. Different kind of weekend.
What all did you do?
Boy,
so
last
you were
night
showing
we went
those girls that Cold War documentary last I heard, right?
No, we didn't. All they watch is SpongeBob. So one's almost 12, the other one is 10. and it's basically their first trip out of Iowa that they can remember. They were really small. They went to Costa Rica, but they don't remember it. So it's been a trip. The first night they were here, they were out in the pool. Addie, the younger niece, said, "This has been the best day of my whole life."
Oh, wow. Well, that made you feel all warm.
Yeah. But we've experienced some things. We went to the beach. They couldn't believe how salty the water was.
They didn't drink it, did they?
Well, that's what I was like, you're not supposed to put it in your mouth.
Yeah,
Like,
but these
we
kids,
can't
they
help
put
it.
everything in their mouth.
So they think Lake Icaria is better than the Atlantic Ocean.
I mean, Lake Icaria is pretty awesome. I mean,
There's no brain-eating amoebas in the Atlantic Ocean, though.
Lake Icaria is a iconic Iowa Parks and Recreation.
We went
spot.
to
Right next to the Adams County Speedway.
Garfield movie, and
How was that?
I thought it was pretty good. It was cute. It
My
was,
girls like Garfield. Maybe I should get them over there.
I would strongly suggest seeing it. It's pretty good, even for adults. It's brings back some memories. I watched Garfield as a kid, but so we have this theater. It's called the iPic, and it's like it's supposed to be like the Taj Mahal of theaters. Prices are expensive. You can't just go and order. Yeah, there it is. Van Wink's got the picture up. You can't just go and order some M&Ms. They will, if you order M&Ms, they will bring it to you in a cup, which sucks. Yeah, they serve cocktails. They serve.
It's like elitist
steak
movie theater.
Yeah, it's like steak and all this fancy schmancy food. Well, they also the seating setup. So there's 5 of us because my mother-in-law's here too. The seating setup is like these pods, and it's 2 people that can sit in this pod. Van Wink's got it up.
Oh, so there's some sex going on here, is what you're saying.
Gee, yeah, it could be an intimate date night, and they give you blankets and all that stuff.
Oh,
well,
gross! Public blankets.
I hope they wash them. I think they do. For the price that you pay, I think they do. So we had 5 people, so I get stuck in my own pod, like in another part of the theater. They're like they have these primo seats, and they're in front of me.
And it's at Garfield.
Is that a lobster roll in a bowl
Yes.
of M&Ms?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
So I'm up in the rafters, and this kind of stuff, I feel like it only happens to me. This dad was sitting behind me with his probably 8-year-old son, and this kid never sat down. Never once sat down. Never once stopped eating or drinking. Even when his drink was gone, he was slurping the air and the bubbles and the ice, and he's doing it right like in my pod, basically. He's running all over my pod.
He's in your personal space.
Oh, he's right in it.
Welcome
the
to
whole movie.
Welcome to movies with young kids. That's how it goes.
I was so mad, but you know me, I'm not gonna
didn't say
turn around
anything?
like George did in Seinfeld.
Yeah.
If you 2 don't knock it off, we're gonna go outside and I'm gonna show you what it's like.
Woo! Yeah, and everybody gives him an applause.
I couldn't do it. The kid had to have had ADHD or something.
This
It
movie
was-
theater, Van Winkle's keep showing pictures, and it is pissing me off.
I figured it would.
Yeah, this is one of the many things that's wrong with our country these days. Look at these people.
Who goes to a movie wearing a tie? Look at this guy.
Yeah, no
Well, it's a big night out.
In
That lady
Florida,
needs to
he's
take
elitist.
her hat off.
Waiters
during
and
the movie.
so the waiters, you have a little button you push, and you push that and it lights up, and it's kind of like an airplane, and it alerts the wait staff to come to your little pod and wait on you. What can I get you, Mr. and Mrs. Hassel?
Oh, they know your name.
Oh yeah, they'll come in and they've got like fancy cocktails. You can't get a Busch Light. Fancy
What?
cocktail. Oh yeah. It's pretty wild. The girls liked it, but
like
tonight,
a $25 old fashioned there.
Tonight, I think they're going to go to the movie and they're going to go to a different theater because they want to be able to
have a real kid experience.
Yeah, and like have some nice. Here's the other thing: the popcorn sucks. There sucks. There's like no butter.
Greasy ass. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not good. So they're going to go to like some old school movie theater tonight, and
see, I'm to the point where my daughters will like to go, and we'll take them there for like a treat every once in a while, and like the big flicks, like when Maverick came out, like I'll probably go see the new Twister movie in the theater, like once or twice a year. I'll get out, but I don't want to go to a theater. I have a projector screen in my basement. Why would I want to be around other people if I don't have
to? I know if it's just a regular movie, I get it. But
you can stream all this stuff like 2 weeks.
Yeah, but there's
after
certain movies you gotta have the full experience. What is it? The IMAX, like for
I agree.
Top Gun.
Yeah. So I said Maverick. Yeah, Maverick.
Yeah. I went to the theater for that, but yeah, I don't go that often because of that.
I will do it for Twister for sure. This
Twister you have to see IMAX.
When that cow flies across the screen, I want to think it's going to hit me in the face.
So, and then last night, we went to the Olive Garden because we gave them the choice. Where do you want to go? Anywhere in the world. Where do you want to go?
They wanted those bottomless breadsticks, didn't they?
Yeah, well, that's what I ordered. I ordered the unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks. And, it was so they put us in this room that had like these tables of 4 flanking the walls all the way around. And then in the middle of the room, there was one table. It was circular, and it sat 6. And that's where we sat. So I felt like we were in the middle of a stage, like having to entertain all these other people. And the whole place was empty, but they jammed us all into this one tiny room in the Olive Garden.
On that note, so I've had a lot of these contractors at my house, which again, like we're gonna be back up and at them pretty good. So I got a lot of people to thank. I'm not criticizing these people, but when you have people working at your house, do you feel like you need to entertain them?
I don't with family.
I always just feel the need to go downstairs. The guys laying the carpet back down and be like, "Hey, do you need anything?"
Oh, you're talking about the workers. So I don't
these
even
people
feel
who
like
are
I
in
need to
my
entertain my family at my house. You're entertaining your workers.
Oh,
what's wrong with you?
When the guys were here doing
Leave
the
them
kitchen
alone. You think
refresh,
they want you around?
No, I don't think they do. I think I'm a hindrance
If you had to go
them.
do a job at somebody's house, you would just want to be on your own. Get them out of there. You don't want to deal with people and, well, can I get you anything? Are you sure? You don't need a coffee? You don't need a water? I'll go get you. I'll go to Starbucks. No,
it's called Iowa Nice, buddy. It's called Iowa Nice. You've lost your roots.
No way. There's no way these workers want you in their business. It slows them down.
So I had some people out front doing some landscaping a couple months ago, and I went and bought them all coffees. I don't know if they drank it, but I want to be a nice guy. I'm just trying to be a nice guy.
I think it's the moment they enter the house, extend some kind of invitation. Hey, you want a water, just let me know. And then be done with it, okay? Be done with it. Okay, ideally, in their ideal world, they don't even want you in the house, let alone in their space.
All right, I got to tell this one story. And I was told I could never tell it, but I'm going to. So it was the day of the flood. And literally it's the exact time of all the Greenfield tornadoes and stuff are going on. We're in Matt, we were in a tornado warning that day for 2 hours straight. It felt
that was the day.
Yeah.
That was the day you tweeted early in the day. You were like, there's no possible way this day could be any worse. Meanwhile, there's tornadoes forming in western Iowa.
And it got worse. So I have all these wonderful people from the restoration company they got there at such a good time. Again, we're so lucky. They probably saved our whole drywall and all that crap. And meanwhile, we're in these like continuous tornado warnings, and there's like me, and there's like 6 of them. I sent the kids over to Bloom's, and I offered them beer. Like that didn't go over very well. They didn't want any beer. I offered them all this stuff, and I was like, "Well, you guys need anything, and I mean anything. Let me know." And they're like, "Yeah, yes, sir, yes." So I did what every other Iowan, went back outside, watched the sky while they were working, and I get a guy comes upstairs, and he's a larger gentleman, pretty large guy, and he asked me if he could use my bathroom because I told him anything.
Well, isn't that just part of the, like, if they're there, they've got to be able to use your bathroom, right?
Let me
Where do
tell
you
you
think they're going to go?
This guy used the bathroom.
Was it a worse situation than when Sipker peed on your floor?
What? Spopker peed all over your floor?
Or wait, was it Reed Forgrave?
It's still debated if it was Spopker or Reed Forgrave. You never heard that story?
No.
So they had to replace your carpeting and the bathroom, it sounds like.
Well, he didn't miss the toilet, but I will say this. When he came out, he was sweating profusely. And I think that smell is just now getting out of the house.
But isn't that part of it, though? Like, you can't tell them. I thought there was an understanding that if they need to use the bathroom, they can use the bathroom. Where else are they going to go? You think they're going to drive to the Fareway and go?
I think if you need to take that big of a shit, you should go to, drive down to Fareway or Casey. No, not Fareway. You got to go to Casey's. Take a shit in Casey's bathroom. I should have told him, you know what? My toilet's actually not working, but there's this guy 4 houses down. He's got a really nice bathroom.
Is that Van Wink's?
Well, I was thinking more send him over to Bloom's house, take a big shit in his yard.
Well, that's disgusting. I'm sorry that happened to you. But...
Aiden saw it. Aiden was here with me. He saw the whole thing.
Oh, God. So tell me more about how Sipker pissed all over your floor.
So this was the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight.
Okay.
You remember that? So
yeah, that's almost 10 years ago now.
And Aiden's watching. He goes, it was seriously 15 minutes, that guy taking a shit in my bathroom. Like, I'm not exaggerating. So we have what we called it. We made a big deal out of it on the radio. The Party of the Cinch is what we called it. Where, I mean, it ended, like, it started off, it was going to be like 5 guys getting together in my basement to watch this fight.
Just a big old sausage fest.
It turns out like there's 25, because everybody's like, well, can I bring this person and can I bring this person? And all of a sudden, it's like, whatever, we're having a.
So this is when you were in college?
No, this was right after Cameron was born, because this is what makes it so bad.
Oh, yeah, because, this was only 8 years ago or so.
This is the spring of 2015.
Okay.
I was at this party.
Maddie
was
there.
a first-hand account.
Okay.
So, like, it's getting pretty wild. Like, people have been drinking. Most of these people have been drinking all day. I want to say it was like the day of the Kentucky Derby, too, potentially. Like,
there was a lot going. I remember that. I was working at ESPN then, and I remember we were hyping that day up forever.
Yeah. So, my mother-in-law, again, she was, for some reason, my mother-in-law was there helping, taking care of the baby, while me and all my jackass friends are downstairs just getting plowed watching combat sports. And there was a moment where the party just comes to an abrupt halt because my wife discovers piss all over our bathroom floor, like pools of it. Well, turns out Sipker and Reed Forgrave were taking a piss together, and I don't know if they were playing swords or what they were doing in the bathroom.
God.
But they pissed all over the place. And so we're trying to figure out, like, my wife.
So was Reed Forgrave working at the Register at the time? Because I know him because when I started at HQ, he was at CBS Sports.
Yeah, I don't think Reed was at the register then. He was still living in Des Moines, but he was out of the local media. No, that was when Reed was writing for Fox Sports. Remember, he was like their national college basketball guy. I think it was for Fox.
Okay,
whatever.
So
Regardless,
Reed and Spopker are in your bathroom.
Yeah, they're pissing
lightsaber
all over.
fighting, just piss fighting.
We still don't know. That's the thing. It's this great mystery. I'm 90% sure that it was Forgrave who pissed all over the place, but I know Spopker was there because you'll love this. My mother-in-law, there were no eyewitnesses. We saw them come out of the bathroom together. There were no eyewitnesses to who peed on the floor, but my mother-in-law claims she heard that nice Iowa guy yell, quote, "You're peeing all over the floor." Because she only knew Sipker from the stupid videos he was doing,
Sure.
the politics stuff back in the day, right?
Uh-huh.
So again, I know that was Forgrave's urine all over my floor. The question is, was Sipker a part of it, or was he simply watching his friend take a piss and yelled that?
What would be worse, honestly? I think it might be worse if Sipker was just standing in there watching his friend take a piss all over your bathroom.
I don't think my wife talked to me for 2 days after that.
So you kicked everybody out?
No, it was right. The fight had already been over, but my wife was pissed. Because we have a newborn upstairs, and
was there did they have piss all over their clothes?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't remember.
The one
Maddie,
thing
what do you remember?
The one thing I do remember is there was definitely a line to get in the bathroom because I went up at one point, and this may have been the time because Sipker and Forgrave were up there, and I went back down. So I'm guessing they went into. I think you're right. I think they went in together, but I went back. I turned around because
back in the old dirt racing day,
20 minutes to go pee.
when you're at the track and you got to wait, you just go in the sink. It's all pipes.
Yeah, just put a trough down in the basement now, Williams.
God, no, I am not encouraging that anymore. This is
like
a different time.
Like Wrigley Field.
At Kinnick Stadium. When I was a kid, my dad would take me to Iowa games, and I was so intimidated and disgusted by that trough that I couldn't go.
I grew up peeing
I had
troughs.
to piss. I could not go. Because when you're a kid, your head is down there basically at the level of the other schwangs.
And the spray is all coming up in your face.
Oh, the splashback. Oh, it was so disgusting. So it was a
you walk
bad
out of
experience.
There, yeah, if there was ever a black light when you walked out of that thing.
So this disgust with public bathrooms hassle goes back a long way for you.
I think it did start at Kinnick Stadium, when I was 6, 7 years old.
See, I grew up pissing in troughs, at racetracks. That's all you got. You just pissed in it. That's just, again, it's all pipes. They all go to the same
Stadium,
place.
And maybe we would always just go at the end of a quarter or halftime, but I remember it being, you are shoulder to shoulder with everything.
Did you ever go to a game in the old Metrodome?
I've covered games there. Yes, I've been to games.
You want to talk about a tight quarters for a bathroom? Holy
that's
mackerel.
the bathroom where those two Hawkeye fans were boning and got arrested.
Having sex, yeah.
I was wondering what we were going to talk about today.
Well, we just got 30 minutes done on this.
I didn't have a lot of real sports-related topics. I mean, of course, we've got Caitlyn Clark not making the Olympic roster. You sent an interesting article to us last night about your god, the Big 12 commissioner, basically saying we're going to be the best conference in the country.
Yeah, let's talk about that. But real quick, first of all, our friends at Channel Seed are going to love the peeing conversation. I can see them snickering right now. This is right up. These seedsmen love good sophomoric conversation. These seedsmen, I tell you.
They got good sense of humor.
Channel Seedsmen are out feeding America. Feeding the world, really. God bless you guys. I also want to thank our friends at Game Day Men's Health. I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't have been able to work 13 hours in that basement yesterday if it weren't for those tee shots I've been getting in my rear.
How often do you get the shot?
Once a week. Now, I did do a little investigating.
Mm-hmm.
If you hate needles,
mm-hmm.
they do have a pill.
Oh.
I also found out that a lot of our great members of the military often will have the testosterone pill to take.
Oh,
because they can't like take needles overseas and stuff like that.
I was,
you know what I'm
was
saying?
trying to figure out how you got to that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
was
No, they're
wondering
telling
if
me
like
all about it.
Maybe it makes you a better fighter. Probably does.
Might. Probably doesn't hurt. You have more energy. Did you get your appointment made?
I haven't done it yet. I'm still, I got the nieces here, and they go back tomorrow.
Okay. Game Day Men's Health.
Williams was
Locations
full
in
of tea.
Ankeny, West Des Moines, and North Liberty.
What is
do you
going
got?
on here? Usually it's me that interrupts the ad read, but Van Wink's just barging in here.
Well, I just love the pictures that came on Twitter yesterday.
What is this?
Williams doing a little belly flop into the kids' pool.
Should I put it in
Is that a slip and slide?
So I was dared. My daughter was over here playing with the Bloom boys and our other neighbors, and I was dared, or I was bet $100 that I wouldn't take a jump into this splash pad.
Wow, you do have a lot of tea inside you now. Look at
that
you.
tea.
Look at me. I'm just out there with these kids. So I gave the $100 to the We Will Collective for Bloom to go get a kicker.
So what is a? I've never seen this contraption before. What is a splash pad?
It's a pad with water in it.
How? But it's what is it like a foot deep?
No, it's like an inch deep, 2 inches.
So
deep.
it's a slip and it's like a circular slip and slide.
Yeah.
Is this the one that can shoot up like a fountain of water?
I don't think it's on there, but like when it's on, there's like little sprinklers all around it.
Get a little enema. You get your tea over at game day, and then you give yourself a little enema on the splash pad.
If game day doesn't put this photo on their wall to promote.
Who took these pictures? These are professional pictures.
My neighbor Megan. She's fantastic. Wow. She's a pro. She's hired.
Thanks, game day.
Thanks, game day. I wouldn't have been able to play with those kids if it weren't for my testosterone injections.
I got a message from Cyclone who says, a little bit behind, but did Hassel feel awkward sitting alone at a kid's movie?
See,
child predator vibes. I didn't even think of that.
That's what came to my mind.
What's this dad behind me doing, letting his 8-year-old son dance all around me? And
yeah, that dad. See, again, that's another problem with our country is that kid should have been disciplined.
Oh, absolutely. I should have turned around and said, if you're not going to discipline your kid, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Teach that kid how to act in society. So weird deal for me last night. NBA finals are on, and I was watching the UFL playoffs.
And that's the, the old XFL?
Mm-hmm. I just thought that was really...
You're only watching this... Was St. Louis playing?
Yeah, I was watching.
So you're only watching it because the Iowa State guys are on that team. What did you think of that game? I don't watch it. I don't watch it at all.
I wouldn't watch it if it weren't for Anthony Beck being the coach and Hakeem Butler and Mike Rowe. I wouldn't have watched it. But like, it was good football. The broadcast was good. Like, I enjoyed it. Now I will not watch. So they lost, and so whatever their like version of the championship is, I won't watch that. But I didn't ever consider flipping over to and I love Luka. Like I love watching the Mavs. I'm not a big Boston fan, whatever. It was good football. I mean, it like the quality of football was totally worth your time if you're a nut. The broadcast again is pretty good, but I wanted to talk about it, but then this morning I was like, holy shit, like I didn't even consider flipping over to the NBA Finals. It just tells me how far gone I am with the NBA at this particular point, too.
I checked in on the NBA score a couple of times. Again, we had SpongeBob playing on the TV. If the Mavs didn't have a lead in the second half, I wasn't going to tune in. I don't think.
Good point.
And I don't really we polled our newsroom going into the series, the NBA Finals, who are you taking? And I'm not kidding you. 2 out of every 3 people said the Mavs. And I just didn't understand that. I don't get why so much of the public thought that the Mavericks were going to win this series. Now, it's not over. They played better in Game 2, but Boston is just the better team. Just because you haven't watched them that much in the playoffs because they've been blowing everybody out doesn't mean they had an easy road, and this is part of it.
God, there's
doesn't
been so
mean
many
that they're not the best
routes. Yeah, in the playoff. No, it was good. And so can we just do our triple B on this topic real quick? Knock this thing
bigger, bolder, better.
Bigger, better, bolder. Powered by Kelderman Manufacturing.
My triple B, I'm going to go with Hakeem Butler. Again, they lose last night. The Battlehawks did. But this guy, so first of all, I was pretty stunned that he didn't make it in the NFL when
I was too. I thought he'd be really good.
Second, first he was the XFLs or whatever, this UFL Offensive Player of the Year last week. He got named that, so congratulations to him, the former Cyclone. Third, I'm watching him, and he's just dominant out there. Like he's a freak, and he looks just like he did at Iowa State, running up and down the field. You throw it to him, he's unbelievable. It tells you how good these freaking NFL wide receivers are that this guy can't find a spot on a roster in the NFL.
And he was the Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Not just the week.
He's like the MVP of that league. Like, he's incredible. And if you watch him, like, they didn't really come around until later last night, but he had one really big catch. Like, this guy is unbelievable out there. And, like, it just, again, it tells you how good the NFL is if he can't find a roster spot. I don't know. I'm happy for him. At least he keeps playing, and I have no idea how much money these guys are making, but I thought I'd recognize the former Cyclone for he didn't make it in the NFL. He's literally the best offensive player in this league. They have a fun team. AJ McCarron. You remember the AJ McCarron moment when his girlfriend was on and Brent Musburger was like,
of course,
salivating. She got some TV time last night. I'm like, she's back. But anyways, yeah, Hakeem Butler. Tip of the cap to Hakeem Butler.
Did you guys see what Wade Phillips in his interview after the game yesterday? He pulled Hakeem Butler to the side and had something to say to him. Did you guys see this?
Mm-mm.
I did not.
Oh. I'm gonna tell everybody in the NFL that I talk to, you need to be playing. I appreciate that, Coach. You bet. You deserve it, man.
Oh, that's cool.
So
again, like that's my takeaway when I watch him. It's like, God, how is this guy not at least on a roster in the NFL? It's unbelievable to me. Especially in a league now where there's so much passing. All right, there you go. What do you got, Hassel?
I'm going to go with Iowa women's basketball player Ava Jones. Just a really, really sad story.
Yep.
And when I first heard the news that she was medically retiring, it didn't quite hit me. I was like, oh, geez, this is the girl who was hit by an impaired driver in Louisville a couple of years ago. Her father was killed, mother seriously injured as well. She suffered a traumatic brain injury, Ava did, and all kinds of other injuries. And Iowa gave her, the opportunity, and she tried as hard as she could to get back on the court and just could not do it. Couldn't get medically cleared. I give it to her. I give it to the Iowa women's program for giving her the amount of time to try to do it, and then to honor what they pledged right after the accident, which was, even if you can't play, we're going to keep you on scholarship. So she's not going to be a part of the basketball program anymore, but she is going to remain on scholarship for the rest of her college career at Iowa. She released a great statement. I'm sure she's just sad beyond belief. I mean, this is basketball. It's not losing a family member, but she was a top 100 player in the country. And to have this just stolen from her by an impaired driver who was on some sort of drug and ran into them. It's just a horrible what happened to her and her family. But I'm really glad that she's going to stay at Iowa and that the team has taken her on. She's going to remain on scholarship.
And hopefully this is one of those deals where, she has this incredible perspective based on what happened to her, and she can go out and make it a positive in some way. And from what I've learned about her, I have all the confidence in the world that will probably happen.
Mm-hmm.
And she can still be around basketball. She can still, whatever she chooses to do. Hopefully this is a story, 5 years from now or 10 years from now, we're looking back and be like, and she's still an incredible inspiration. I'm sure she will be. Good one right there. I don't know. That one's going to be tough to beat, Van Winkle. Who do you got?
Well, so Kentucky baseball beat Oregon State yesterday to get to the College World Series. Did you guys see this?
No.
Does that mean anything to you guys?
No.
Well, the only thing that would mean is the Pac-12. Yeah.
The Pac-12
What?
is no
It's dead.
longer. We got to play little taps to salute our.
I feel like we've said this about the Pac-12 many times.
Well, this is the last sport of the
'Cause everything
academic
changes
calendar.
Okay.
Officially on July 1.
So the
I feel like
Pac-12,
you're
the
kind of
Pac-10
mocking.
is.
Are you mocking the
No.
Pac-12?
I love the Pac. I grew up on the Pac-12.
That's true. You were out there on that West Coast.
Yeah. We can make
my
fun
mom
of our
went to
own
Cal.
family members, but you can't make fun of my family members. That's how it goes. Yeah.
Your mom went to Cal?
My mom graduated from Cal, so I was a big Cal Bears fan growing up.
This explains old Maddie Van
Yeah.
Wokeness.
Maddie Van Woke?
Got a mom who went to Cal. Just kidding, Miss
Okay.
Maddie.
So do you guys have any favorite Pac-12, Pac-10 memories? What's one that stands out to you?
Well, one is Bill Walton, right? Like just Bill Walton calling Pac-12 games, and God rest his soul. But the one for me, Hassel, you've got to somewhat meet me here. Those old Bush and Liner USC teams were so freaking good. Like that's what I think of when you say Pac-12. I think of Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush.
I think of a game,
Aaron Rodgers and Marshawn Lynch.
I think of a game coming on at 9, 10 at night, and it's the only game left on TV, and it's Reggie Bush just going wild against Fresno State or something like that.
That's the game that I always think of because he had that insane run. Yeah. God.
Mike Leach with those Washington Cougars late night. Oh, that was the best.
Oh, Leach
Washington
had all
State.
those Friday night games with Washington State.
So good.
Yeah,
my
so
best memory was just this past season. I was fortunate enough to get out there and call a bunch of Pac-12 games for Learfield, and I got to do Washington State, the Apple Cup, which went down to the wire, Washington clinching a spot in the Pac-12 championship game, and then eventually the playoff. But my favorite was Washington-Oregon earlier in the year. A great rivalry there. Those two teams were in the top 10. It was Penix against Bo Nix. Those are my favorite rivalries because it was just an awesome setting at Washington. Those are two great adds, Washington and Oregon, to the Big Ten. It doesn't make any sense, but those are two great programs with great adds.
Paul adds the Cal Stanford band on the field.
The band's on the field. It's
and then
was that your mom that just got trucked?
Oh, she may have been at
with
that
a
game.
Trumpet.
I should ask her.
And then Kurt says McCaffrey running wild in the Rose Bowl is a great Pac-12 memory.
Jesus.
That's one of my favorite Pac-12 memories.
I'm sure it is for Iowa State fans.
You know what I remember the most about that game was how sensitive so many Iowa fans were to the Stanford bands, like Farmers Only or whatever the hell they did. These Iowa people were so pissed. I thought it was funny, but anyway, good pull right there. Kelderman Manufacturing. Check them out at kelderman.com. We appreciate them bringing us Triple B every Monday here on Two Guys. Speaking of the Pac-12, I don't want to go too much on this because I think it's really far out there. Brett Yormark, speaking to the Arizona Board of Regents, was asked about expansion. He says, I will always have optionality as a conference. I will continue when the time is right. And he's talking about when the ACC implodes there. My biggest question to you, Hassel, and I posed this to Bloom last night, but I want, because you're not a Cyclone guy, let me ask you this question. Is it even possible, no matter what happens on the field, is it possible that the Big 12 in the future in the sport of football will be seen as an equal to the Big 10 in the SEC?
No. Not possible.
I agree.
The
minds have already been made.
Yes. Already too far behind financially and brand-wise. Think of the best-case scenario, which would be you somehow get Clemson and Florida State, which is not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
Even then, you still don't have the brands to back it up. And you sent me an article and it had kind of a transcript of what he said in this meeting, and I disagree with some things that he said. Now, I think he's been a great commissioner. I think he's done everything right, everything that you could. But he said, if you think about the Big 12 today versus when I came here, no one can debate that we are more relevant now than ever before. I disagree. I don't think they are. I think they're more relevant than some of their counterparts, like the Pac-12 is gone. Maybe they're more relevant than the ACC. Maybe. I don't know. I think it's pretty close. But they've fallen so far behind now, the Big 12 and the SEC, who have clearly become the, some are going to say Power 4, but I think even more so it's going to be the Big 2 that will separate in the Big 10 and the SEC.
I think too, and I'm trying to kind of prepare Big 12 fans for this. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think it really matters what happens on the field. I think that this has always been a sport where you follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
And the committee's in the bag of ESPN. This is why we've been rooting for ESPN to not have complete control over this playoff. This is why we want multiple television partners in there. This is all money driven, and the fact is the Big Ten and the
money
SEC
and brand driven.
Yeah, it's all
and the brand. You can't even say, what's the biggest brand in the Big 12?
By the way,
are you going to say Utah? Are you going to say Oklahoma State? I mean,
keep an eye on this, and I will keep you updated. This is not getting enough play. The NFL is currently at court. Okay, there's a bunch of bar owners around the country that are accusing the NFL and of collusion for its television setup because they have to buy the league pass to get these games, and they're claiming it should be more like college football, that where all the games are on TV and that the teams should have control over their own television. So basically the same thing as Major League Baseball. This would be the worst thing in the history of American sports if the NFL loses this case from a competitive standpoint. Because then think about it. The Cowboys compared to the Jacksonville Jaguars, what they would bring in television-wise. It would turn into college football.
That's kind of where I want to go with one of his other statements. He said that, everyone looks different. This is Yormark again. No question about it. He's talking about the different conferences. But brand relevance is not always going to be determined by how much money you bring in, how much you win. He said there are certain brands that have more resources, but that doesn't define their relevance within the NFL or the NBA. But there's a big difference. The NFL and the NBA are all in one league. They all play each other. They go to the playoffs based on their record. There isn't a selection process.
And there's a salary cap.
Yes.
So everybody's basically on the same playing field when it comes to that.
And in this landscape that we have in college football and college basketball, there are selection committees. There are people making these decisions. It's not just what your record is, which is why we've talked about. You could have an 11-1 Iowa State team that gets left out of the playoff for a 2, potentially 3-loss Big Ten or SEC team.
Yep.
So it's not the same. And I don't think there's any way that the Big 12 can become on par with the Big 10 or the SEC moving forward. They could be a solid third. I
do think this reinforces what Baylor athletic director Mac Rhodes said a couple weeks ago. He was on the 365 show. Those guys are awesome. They cover the Big 12 better than anybody. And he, again, this is an athletic director in charge of two basketball programs that win national championships, right? Like that. Baylor has really good basketball, and he's just reinforcing we have to focus on football. We have to focus on football. Like, I get it. Like, the Big 12 has this beautiful thing going with basketball. Now you get Arizona, and like it's just going to get better.
Yeah, I love it too.
Yeah, we love it, but you can't just be like, well, we're going to be the best basketball conference. It has to go both ways because without football's money, basketball's, that conference, it's not the Big East. In the Big East, it's like that's all these schools have. They're basically, minor league NBA teams, like the way that they can operate in the Big East.
For some, but we're seeing Dan Hurley is apparently reportedly maybe going to make his decision today whether or not to go to the Lakers, and maybe by the time you're listening to this, he already has. But
my point, though,
Connecticut is playing football, so that puts that they're not in the situation that Creighton is in. Creighton can put it all towards basketball.
If you're an Iowa State basketball diehard, and there's a ton of them out there, and this goes back 50 years. There's a reason why a lot of basketball school, call it what you want. I don't believe that's the case. I think they care about everything there. But my point is Otzelberger's not going to be able to win at a high level if the football team is terrible because of how the money stacks up. So what Rhodes is saying is we can shoot to be the best basketball conference, and we will be, is what he's saying. But, man, we've got to put resources into football. But, again, like, it's so frustrating, and because I don't know if it matters, Chris. Like, I think the Big 12 will likely be a one-bid league in this playoff more often than not. I hope that this committee proves me wrong. I don't think it will.
I would agree with that, yeah.
I don't think that it will. I think the beds have already been made. We saw how the financial structure was put together in this thing. The Big Ten and the SEC not only own it, but I believe are probably, they made this like committee where they're always college athletics. We're always making committees. We need more committees, right? Like the Big Ten and the SEC have been enemies for 100 years or whatever it's been, and now all of a sudden they're working together for the betterment of college athletics. My ass.
Just like the Alliance a few years ago. How'd that work out?
My ass. Like I'm guessing not only will they, there's going to be a huge push to have 4 teams each in these playoffs, but
it's all about me.
I don't think they're going to schedule Big 12 and ACC teams in the future either.
I don't either. We talked about that, I think, on the last show.
Yep.
They're going to try to almost, I think, blackball. Can you even say that anymore? There's so many. We have a list of words you can't say, phrases you can't say anymore. I'm going to have to check on that one.
Yeah.
Van Woke. Can you say that anymore?
Van Wokel? Yeah. What's up?
Can you?
You want me to look it up?
Yeah, we just want to make sure we're not being insensitive here.
I think that's still. I think that's still
okay.
All right.
But I hope that doesn't happen. Now, hoping and what's actually going to happen are two very, very different things. But I think that I like what Yormark is saying. I like what he's doing. If I'm a fan of the Big 12, you want this guy in charge. Like he should be fighting to try to keep the Big 12 as close to those Big 2 as possible. You don't want someone that's just sitting back there, there's nothing we can do. We're just gonna try to be the best of the rest.
No,
he clearly has a mindset where he believes the Big 12 should be at that level. I don't think he's ever going to be able to get him there, but that's a guy that is doing a really good job.
I completely agree. I just don't trust all these leaders in college athletics. I don't.
God, no. Jesus. How did we get 50 minutes into the show and not talk Caitlyn Clark at all?
Well, that's where we're going right now, brother. First of all, our friends at the Iowa Event Center, though. Big night coming up on Wednesday. AEW. Actually,
porn.
It's not porn.
That's what you called it. You said it's
No.
it's the WWE. If the WWE was softcore, this would be XXX, hardcore.
You'll love this. I won't give away details, but Van Winkle texted me yesterday, middle of the afternoon, and had an idea to bring another guest on the program today to promote the AEW event.
What?
And I said, if you do that, Hassel will kill you.
Jesus, Van Winkle.
It's a friend of the program, not necessarily a guest.
I said,
I thought we said no guests.
I said to Matt, no, Hassel will kill you.
You're right. Thank you.
Get on the Fran McCaffrey interview so we can get a
No.
guest on.
No.
I'll be there on Wednesday night. Looking forward to that. Tickets
Okay.
still on sale. AEWTix.com. It's a big event. First time AEW's ever been in the state of Iowa. So Caitlyn Clark gets left off of Team USA, and the backlash has been wild. Everything Caitlyn does is polarizing. We talk about this a lot.
Even stuff that she doesn't do. Like, this isn't something she did. This was a decision that was out of her control.
And I'll be honest, like, I understand both sides of this argument. Don't you? Like, if you're just thinking rationally, like, okay, like, just from a pure, like, basketball standpoint, that's all
If
we're
it was
talking about.
just basketball,
Yeah,
if
but
that's
it's
all
not.
we're talking,
Yeah, the
I
problem
can
is
see
it's
that
not.
it's borderline. It is borderline. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Is she one of the 12 best players, 12 best American players? I think she's right there. I absolutely think she's top 15 right now. Is she top 10?
I agree.
I don't know. But I don't think that the decision can be looked at as just basketball. Which is
Completely agree.
why I think that they should have chosen Caitlyn Clark. This would be big for USA Basketball, NBC, the Olympics in general. I don't care if she's only playing 5 minutes a game. I think that's – sure, there would be people that would be like, well, why isn't Caitlyn Clark playing more? Can't you use she does things that no one else does. She can make super deep threes. Like, that's a skill set that no one else has. Now, she's probably not going to need to go out there and do that in this sort of competition. I think the USA is going to be good enough. But she's also just an unbelievable passer. Right? So I think that she has a skill set that could have been used. I'm not, like, totally furious that she didn't make the team because I do see some positives here. She needs a break. My God, she needs it. This would have added to it tenfold. So I can kind of see that this is good and bad. Now, I did think it was interesting yesterday when she was interviewed and said all the things that you expected her to say. That, look, it's a great team. They're stacked. She congratulated all 12 of the players that were selected. She said they were all deserving. But then her coach comes out and says that Caitlyn told her kind of a different story, that they just, quote, woke a monster.
You want to hear the sound? Maddie Van Winks pulled up the sound for us.
This elephant in the room is the Team USA roster. Caitlyn's not on it. What was your reaction when you saw that list come out yesterday?
Yeah, a little disappointed, of course. She's my player. That's the hardest team in the world to make, right? Like, that is a tough team. She's young. She's going to have so many opportunities in the future.
How did you coach her up through that, or did you talk to her at all through that to make it more of a motivating factor than anything?
Yeah, we talked actually on the bus. She got the call on the bus, and she texted me to let me know. And, I just tried to keep her spirits. I mean, the thing she said was, hey, Coach, they woke a monster, which I thought was awesome.
Is there any silver lining? And, she'll get a little bit of rest. She'll be able to work on some things in that 3-week break.
Yeah, I think that is the silver lining. Like, she is going to get some rest.
I mean, did she speak out of turn there?
I was going to ask you that. Do you think Caitlyn wanted that out there?
Probably
She
not,
certainly didn't
because
say that in her sound. She didn't say they
I
woke him up. I mean, she
don't
she
think
took the
Caitlyn
high road.
needs that. As far as like these players are already like targeting her. You know, like
I have seen reports that she actually got that text before the game last week, before she went off for 30 points and her best game of the season. I haven't seen it confirmed, but I have seen reports that when she was talking about on the bus. Sounds like it was on the bus, maybe to the arena in D.C.
Well, she had a great game that night. She looked awesome.
And look, it was against a winless team, but
still,
it was still a fantastic performance. And she looked more like Iowa Caitlyn Clark in that game than she's looked in any game.
Speaking of Iowa Caitlyn Clark, I didn't know this, so I flipped on the Aces game last night while I was working because I wanted to see Kate Martin because she's like starting. Yeah, she started. I was like, oh, that's cool. Flipped it on. I didn't realize that Kia Stokes, Greg Stokes' daughter, the former great Hawkeye, was on that Aces team too. She's in the starting lineup as well. Small world. I knew she was in the league. I didn't know she was playing for that team.
Remember Kia coming up, like Iowa wanted her so bad, and that was just back at a time when everybody was leaving.
Everybody went to UConn.
She went to UConn.
Yeah, everybody.
And Iowa couldn't get her. Remember there was a girl when I was there, was it Greenfield? She played for Ballard. She ended up going to Stanford.
Taylor Greenfield.
Yeah.
I believe
things have changed. Iowa and Iowa State just absolutely rolling. But I am disappointed. Like I did think they were going to pick Caitlyn. I didn't think NBC was even going to let this happen. Right? It's absolutely less interesting. And you know, the critics will say, the critics, I guess, of the people who say they got this right, they will say, well, who are you taking out? And I think the number one name that comes to mind is Brittany Griner, just because she's played in one game this season. But she plays a completely different position. I don't know that you could look at it like that. There was another guard, though, that has not played at all this season, that's on the Aces, that is reportedly making her way back, and a former WNBA Finals MVP. Her name slips my mind.
The part of this, and this isn't their committee's job to do this, I would have liked to see Caitlyn on that team just from a standpoint of maybe she could have won some of these veterans over.
Yeah, right. And it's Chelsea Gray, by the way. That
wouldn't have been a good for Diana Taurasi and Caitlyn Clark to be able to travel across the globe together and just talk.
And Diana Taurasi's another one. You put their stats side by side this season, and Caitlyn Clark's got Taurasi beat. Now, this is Taurasi's last go-round. One of the greatest players, if not the greatest women's player. So are you really going to keep – can you imagine the firestorm if Diana Taurasi was kept off the team for Caitlyn Clark? Her last – she's 42 years old.
Well, think
because I've seen a lot of people argue that Clark should have been on instead of Taurasi.
I mean, Clark's 22, and the Olympics only happens every 4 years. Like that's a pretty large window of like her like prime basketball career that she's going to be missing out on the Olympics. But I mean, you know, Taurasi's playing into her 40s and stuff. So not to say that Caitlyn Clark won't, but like, man, that's a big missed opportunity in my opinion.
It is a missed opportunity, but I do think it's going to end up being better. At least short-term this season for Caitlyn to get a break. I don't know about long-term, not being a part of this Olympic team that is going to win gold. And as you said, Williams, potentially cultivating those relationships.
I think that's where women's basketball is missing out more than anything. Because it doesn't have to be this petty back and forth like you're a Caitlyn Clark fan. If you're a Caitlyn Clark fan, you hate the rest of the WNBA. It doesn't have to be that. And I think that this could have been a bridge. I mean, we saw it, the old Dream Team, like if you read books about that and stuff, like a lot of those guys hated each other. And it grew the sports. I mean, It like doubled the popularity of the NBA in the United States. And that, to me, that is the missed opportunity here more than anything. Van Winkle has made a public post that he needs to make an apology before we get off the air today.
Yeah.
Matt, you have the floor.
Yeah, we were driving home last night and saw the old foxes. Not just one though. We saw the whole family. There's four foxes. There's a mom and dad and two little pups. And there they are.
Oh my God, they're so cute.
They're gangly little.
They're not gangly. Yeah. That's what foxes look like.
Yeah, I had a change of heart when I saw the little pups. They were just they were hopping around the grass. They were super cute. These mom and dad foxes are just looking to feed their little.
So you no longer want to murder their parents?
No, I actually they were really cute.
God damn it, they're way too close to the roads.
They live right there. There's a bush behind there that they live in.
Oh,
so they're always right out in that little grass.
I'm telling you, it's going to get interesting tonight because the whole city shuts down for 2 nights.
What?
First week of June.
What's going on again?
They bring the carnies. The carnies come in.
What carnies?
We're going to have carnies all over town. Yeah.
What?
Oh, kits.
Yeah, there's a big carnival.
Little kits out there.
These foxeye are going to be, there's going to be little kids and people walking all over their property all night long for 2 nights. And I hope nothing happens.
What you're suggesting that the foxes are going to attack your kids?
Listen, no, I'm not suggesting it, but I know how kids can be. The kids are the problem here. It's not the foxeye.
Oh, okay. You're worried.
These kids are going to get in their personal space.
By the way, I'm kids these days. I tell you what. Now, we went to this arcade last night. Man, these kids, they just have no respect. No respect. There's these kids playing this. What's the basketball game? The Pop-A-Shot.
Yeah.
There's these 2 kids playing it. There's a line forming behind them. They just keep playing. They just keep going. They won't even let anyone else play the game. They don't have their parents around. So finally, like, an adult came in and she's like, "All right, you've had your turn. It's our turn now." And this woman was probably 60 years old, probably a grandparent of one of the kids that she was with. She starts shooting, and the little kid starts blocking her shot.
Oh. See, that's when you take your kid out to the car. You're going home.
But they didn't have their parents around.
We're leaving the arcade.
So my nieces wanted to play and couldn't. They couldn't get in there. I'm not starting something with a little kid. Listen here, you little twerp. It's my machine now. You've had your turn.
Somebody's videotaping Chris Hassel from CBS. Scream at these kids.
Just like when I was a kid, I know it sounds like, you walk to school uphill both ways. You respected authority.
You're goddamn right you do. Hell yeah.
You were scared of kids that were older than you. You were scared of adults because what they said went. Anymore, it doesn't seem like kids are not afraid of older kids. But I saw there was a video online, this just snot-nosed Boston Celtics fan, front row. Luka is signing autographs, taking pictures. He gets a picture with Luka Doncic, and then he just goes right into his face, Celtics in 4, taunting him. Look, what are you doing? This superstar just gave you a selfie with him, and now you're taunting him? How about the idiot Mavericks fan that attacked Charles Barkley verbally going into the stadium? This son of a bitch on TikTok wearing this Doncic jersey. He's probably 25. He runs up to Charles Barkley. Of course, he's got his friend filming him, and he says, "Oh, look at this loser. You got no NBA rings. Where are your NBA rings, loser?" To Charles Barkley. And Barkley turns around and he's almost had to be held back. At some point, we've got to be able to fight back. Charles Barkley should be able to knock that kid's ass out. That's the only way that shit is going to stop.
You got to fight fire with fire, right?
God.
What's the best way to knock a bully off his pedestal?
Oh.
You got to hit him back.
Yes.
I don't think Hassel needs the tee shot. He is fired
Look,
up.
I say that I've never been in a fight in my life, okay? But
you're just wanting some respect.
At some point, there have to be
respect.
some consequences, okay? These videos, these TikTokers, how about these
it's just everybody's
they go to
starved.
stores. These kids go to stores and they start like doing crazy things to people on camera. Like they'll go up and they'll steal a guy's hat and then they'll spit on him. And like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Huh? You gonna hit me? You gonna go to jail? Huh? Or then there's this other kid, and I don't know.
Yeah, and then if you would hit him, they'd
God.
be going crazy. Yeah. It's the worst.
There's this other kid that like goes up and he like humps people. He's like, oh yeah. And the guy's like, oh, get off me. It's like, what are you? It's Pride Month. What are you gonna do?
That's like really?
Yes.
Speaking of humping, I had a moment last night. Tell me how you would have responded to this. So again, Elise is on the corner playing in the water with these kids, and I go to get her, and one of the little girls comes up to me and asks me where my puppy is, because I always have Dirks with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just with me all the time. I don't hardly ever leave my house without him.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to a 3-year-old that asks you that? He's dead?
I think you say he's in doggy heaven.
That's what I said. I go, do you understand what heaven is? And she goes, other controller, Elise. Sorry. And I said, do you know what heaven is? Yeah. That's where he's at. Oh. And then she turned around and walked away. And then she came back and asked me the same question 5 minutes later.
Oh, no.
I'm like, she's not getting the point here. She wants the dog. How do I explain that he's no longer living without hurting her? It was a really, what do you say to these kids? I don't know.
Hawkeye 11-1 says that once that fox gets a hold of a small dog, people are going to lose their mind.
It's going to happen. They're going to bite a kid or something. Somebody's going to get rabies out of this.
I've gotten to know these foxes a little bit better over the last couple months. And a dog walked past the family of foxes, and it jumped back. It didn't want anything to do with the dog.
Until it grows. Until it gets hungry enough.
The adults are fully grown, okay?
Yeah, but they're just taking care of the babies. Wait till these testosterone-filled teenage foxeye.
Is Game Day Men's Health shooting up the teenagers there in Bondurant, too?
I see my guy Bill Morris. He's over in the corner giving these fox injections.
Is Game Day going to be in the parade tonight, the Summerfest parade?
No,
Is there a Game Day float? It's just a big syringe.
They're shooting out water guns of testosterone.
Yes. Speaking of parades, somebody tagged us in a photo of Hassel. Hassel was back in Iowa this weekend, apparently. The Fareway.
Oh, yeah.
The Fareway guy.
Frank.
Fareway Frank.
Do I really look like that?
That little girl is loving Fareway Frank.
You got a better tan than him, but everything else is
white,
pretty close.
I'll take it. I mean,
he got a good chin.
He looks good.
He does.
All right, let's get out of here. Hassel has to go to work.
Let's skedaddle.
We'll be back on Thursday. Two guys here on Iowa Everywhere. Thanks to Maddie Van Winkle for producing. For Chris Hassel, I'm Chris Williams. We'll see you Thursday morning.